President Trump says Friday's summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska is, quote, a feel-out meeting. The president says Russia and Ukraine will swap land if, in fact, a peace deal is reached. Ukrainian President Zelensky made clear his country is not prepared to give up territory. Trump said he was displeased with those comments. Ed O'Keefe joins me now from the White House. Ed, it was a long press conference there. You were in the front row. You asked the president about what his sense of this is, and he said he would know almost instantaneously whether or not Putin was serious.
That's right. In fact, let's just play part of our exchange with the president from the news conference. Take a look.
Having to do with routes of trade.
Meeting on Friday with Vladimir Putin.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
The deal maker says he will know almost immediately whether or not Vladimir Putin is serious about eventually cutting a deal with Vladimir Zelensky and ending this war. He says, as you said, this is a feel-out meeting, trying to get a sense of how serious Putin is about reaching peace. He said he wants a ceasefire. He acknowledges that both sides may have to swap some territory they've gained during this 3-year-plus war to try to settle this. But, of course, the Ukrainians have said doing so is a non-starter. They want everything that they once held back. And you've seen multiple international leaders today, Major, suggest that anything about Ukraine's future should be settled by Ukraine alone in whatever realm. The president, though, is confident that this meeting eventually leads to a conversation that either he's involved in with those 2 other men on screen, or that they will meet alone, but that ultimately he will have helped broker some kind of at least temporary peace.
And, Ed, where does this leave us with the understanding of what the president's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, whom I know he trusts because he invests a lot of authority in him to be initial interlocutor on his behalf, didn't he feel out Putin last week? I mean, the president should have some idea of what's on the table.
Exactly. There's great risk involved here because, remember, several times now in the last few months, the president has signaled his frustration and sort of said out loud what the rest of official Washington and those that track Russia have said, which is he may do a good meeting with me on the phone, but then he turns around and bombs Ukraine again, which goes against everything we were just discussing. So there's a good chance that even now face-to-face, they may have a good meeting, and then Putin goes home and reneges on whatever it is they discuss. Big risk there. Big risk also for Ukraine, that the 2 leaders get in a room and start discussing the future of Ukraine without Ukrainian representation there. And it's not entirely clear what the risk is for Putin. He is showing up here in the United States while there are international arrest warrants out for him, warrants that the United States doesn't recognize. But regardless, he's back on the world stage alongside a U.S. president at a time when there are many in this country who, in the words of a Democratic senator I spoke to last week, said, Russia is essentially a third world country with a large gas pump, and it doesn't merit or deserve to have a face-to-face meeting with the American president, certainly not amid the current conditions. So we'll see. It is only Monday, Major, and there's a good chance that the contours of this could change, that it being held at all could change. But for now, the White House is planning for this meeting to happen in Alaska on Friday.
As it stands, an important caveat, as it stands, a photo op and no new sanctions, primary or secondary. Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Thank you very much.